Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 1, Episode 2, 4 Marks of The Witcher. First, I want to thank you all for the support of my breakdown of the first episode. I did not expect that at all, and I do really appreciate it. I will be breaking down the rest of the episodes as quickly as I can make these videos. Without further ado, there are 3 different timelines happening in the episode, so let's say Ciri's timeline is the present. Geralt's storyline in the episode is probably about 20 years before that, and Yennefer's timeline is probably 50 years before Ciri's. So the 3 stories that are being told in this episode are all happening at different times. The first thing we see is the town of Vengerberg. We are introduced to Yennefer. We see that Yennefer has deformities. She has a hunched back and a disfigured jaw. She tries to help a young couple. When the couple sees Yennefer, though, they are disgusted by her appearance and start insulting her, and then they pin her to the ground. Yennefer then teleports to Aretuza and meets Istredd. Aretuza is a magical academy for young ladies, and Istredd is a young sorcerer studying the Aretuzian ruins. The reason why Yennefer was able to teleport is because of her latent magical talent from her elven blood. There really is no explanation for her teleporting specifically to Aretuza of all places. Nothing in the books or the wiki. On Reddit they believe is because Aretuza is the hub of power and she was drawn to it. Some say it was destiny, which does play a major role in the show. Through the series, Istredd is Yennefer's off-again and on-again lover, and I think it was just a good way to introduce the character to Yennefer and establish their relationship. Through their conversation, Istredd realizes that Yennefer has no idea what she has done, and how remarkable it is for her to conjure a portal out of thin air. Istredd then says that she, Tissaia de Vries, will be coming for you, and creates an untraceable portal to send her home. The portal that Yennefer made marked her. Istredd looks her in the eyes and says, "You can trust me." I assume the reason why Istredd sends her back home through an untraceable portal was to try and save her from becoming a sorceress. We then find ourselves at the farm where Yennefer lives. A woman pulls up and asks Yennefer's father how much a pig is. He responds by saying 10 marks. The woman then asks how much this beast is, meaning Yennefer. Her father says 6 marks. The woman was able to talk him down to 4. This shows a small glimpse of what Yennefer's life has been like up to this point. From different sources, we know that Yennefer's father hated her for being deformed and would beat her regularly. You see the hate her father has for her, selling her for less than half the price of a pig. The woman who bought Yennefer is Tissaia de Vries, the woman Istredd warned Yennefer about. Tissaia was able to track Yennefer because she was still marked from the first portal that she used. Tissaia is a sorceress and is the rectoress at Aretuza. She pretty much is the main instructor at the school. Yennefer cries for help and tells Tissaia that she is not going with her. But Yennefer doesn't realize yet she doesn't have a choice. We return to Aretuza where Tissaia locks Yennefer into a room. Yennefer looks at her reflection in the mirror. She says to herself 4 marks and begins to cry. Hating what she sees in the mirror, she shatters it with her fist. She looks at the shards and tries to take her own life. We then find ourselves with Ciri still running in the woods from the Nilfgaardians. She starts putting mud in her hair to try to darken it and disguise herself. She tries to eat some berries, but a young boy stops her, gesturing that they are poisonous. The boy offers her rat to eat, but Ciri refuses that, says she doesn't eat rat. The two sit down around a fire the boy had made to roast his rat. Ciri tries talking to him, but the boy refuses to speak. Ciri then says she hasn't talked to anyone for 3 days. She also says, "I'm supposed to be going towards someone, but instead I'm running from someone else." Ciri means she is supposed to be looking for Geralt, but she is far more concerned with getting away from the man with the winged helmet who captured her from the last episode. The two start walking again, and Ciri gives one of her gloves to the boy. This shows that Ciri is kind and thankful for what the boy did. Ciri then sees a Sintra refugee camp in the woods and runs towards it. The boy does not come with her and disappears. We then find ourselves with Jaskier, also known as Dandelion, at a tavern. Jaskier is a bard. He plays a lute, sings and writes poetry, and generally just gets himself into mischief. He gets booed for his performance at the tavern. He then sees Geralt of Rivia sitting in the corner by himself. This is the first time these two meet in the show. Jaskier goes up to Geralt because he was the only one that didn't boo him and wants a review of his performance from The Witcher. Geralt says the creatures in your story don't exist. Jaskier asks how he knows that, and then figures out who he's talking to, from the white hair to the 2 swords that he carries. I don't know if I said this in the last video, but Witchers carry 2 swords, one being silver and one being steel. The silver blade is used to dispatch magical creatures, and the steel one is for more mundane beings, such as humans or animals. Lucky for Geralt, Jaskier said his name out loud and actually got some work for the Witcher to deal with a supposed devil who keeps stealing grain. This is how Witchers make their coin. A town can hire them to deal with a monster, or an individual can hire one. A town can also put up like bounties on a notice board where a Witcher can see it and go after the monster. Geralt agrees to take care of the devil, and Jaskier tags along to Geralt's dismay. Jaskier's reasoning is that Geralt is right. Real adventures dealing with real creatures will make better stories and songs. Then Jaskier suggests he could be his barker, spreading the tales of Geralt of Rivia, the Butcher of Blaviken. Geralt does not like being called that, and it is still a very sore subject for him, and he punches Jaskier right in the belly. We return to Aretuza, where we find Yennefer is still alive and was saved by Tissaia using magic. Yennefer then goes to the greenhouse, where the rest of the students of Aretuza are. Tissaia is explaining the dangers of chaos, and the reason why they are all here. It is because they are all conduits of chaos, and they have shown an aptitude for controlling it. Chaos without control is chaos, but controlled chaos is what the series calls magic. Everyone in the room has a conduit moment which created a new ripple in chaos, reaching Tissaia, which is how she was able to find all these young ladies. They all had moments like Yennefer. Tissaia goes on and says that just because you are conduits of chaos does not mean you are capable of magic. One of the students says she wants to go home, and Tissaia pretty much says, listen closely, your survival depends on it. The key to organizing chaos is through balance and control. Without them, chaos will kill you. So we finally get down to why Tissaia goes through all the effort in gathering all these ladies who have shown the ability to control chaos. These women could open up forbidden doors to powers of pure evil capable of annihilating the entire world. So gathering people with the talent for magic is more of a precaution than anything else. They start with the simplest of trials, moving the rock in front of them without touching it. Fringilla is the first to lift the stone, but demonstrates that magic comes with a price. Her hand begins to age and shrivel up. Tissaia says there is no conjuring something from nothing. There is a give and take. There is a price that must be paid to do magic. She picks up the flower and says the incantation, Zelen Ape, and lifts the rock. Simultaneously, the flower in her other hand dies. Yennefer struggles with the trial and is unable to move the rock, and storms out of the room. Tissaia mentions that Yennefer had lost a lot of blood, suggesting that Yennefer was still too weak to perform the trial. Yennefer is able to find Istredd where she last saw him, and she properly introduces herself. The reason why she went to find him is because she trusts Istredd, because in their first meeting, he did try to help her. We return to Ciri as she enters the refugee camp. Ciri tries to cut in front of the food ration line. She gets yelled at by an older lady for cutting. Ciri says this food was provided by the queen. The stranger says, may she rot in hell. Ciri has been sheltered for most of her life by her grandmother. She's never really gone out and sought out commoners. Ciri doesn't really know what people think of her and her grandmother and the royal family in general. Ciri then meets a nice young man who brings her to his mother. His mother has similar feelings for Ciri's grandmother, blaming her for what happened to Cintra. We return to Jaskier and Geralt looking to get rid of the devil. Jaskier pretty much states that Geralt has an image problem, especially after the whole Butcher of Blaviken thing. Jaskier suggests that he writes something that makes the Witcher look heroic rather than a monster. Currently, the two are at a place called Dol Blathana. That is an elder speech. In English, it is translated to the Valley of the Flowers. According to Jaskier, the elves gave this place to the humans and retreated into their golden palaces in the mountains. As the episode goes on, we find out that this isn't the case. The two stumble upon what Jaskier believes is a devil because it has horns. Geralt lets him know that devils actually don't exist in this world, they are just fables. The devil-like creature throws steel balls at the two, knocking out Jaskier. The creature then charges Geralt headfirst like a goat. Then the creature starts to talk, which surprises Geralt. The creature they are dealing with is a Sylvan. It is an exceedingly rare humanoid species of intelligent herbivores. It pretty much is a goat mixed with a human. In the conversation the two have while fighting, we find out that the Sylvan's name is Torque. Since Torque is an intelligent creature, Geralt will not kill him, but the Sylvan cannot stay in the Valley of the Flowers. This is Geralt's rule when it comes to intelligent creatures. He will not kill them unless he has to. After saying this, Geralt is immediately ambushed from behind and knocked out. We return to Aretuza with Yennefer. This lesson is about mind transference, which is the ability to read minds. The girls are partnered up, and they have to be able to determine their partner's greatest fear. Yennefer struggles with this. Her partner Annika encourages her, but she just shakes her head, having no confidence in herself to succeed. We return to this room, and now it is dark. We hear faint whispers through this scene suggesting the other girls are reading each other's minds. After hours of analyzing her partner, Yennefer still is yet to figure out Annika's greatest fear, and she lies about it to cover up her own inadequacies. Desaya instantly knows that Yennefer is lying and berates her in front of the class, listing all of Yennefer's shortcomings, saying, "You take 2 weeks to lift your stone. You can't bend water. You struggle to perform the simplest of physical tasks. And now you lie to me? Your worst fear makes such sense. Even if you were a beauty, still, no one would love you." It makes sense that this is Yennefer's greatest fear. She wants to be loved, which she never really got coming from an abusive household. Yennefer tells Istrid of her problems with school. He offers to help her with her thought transference, saying she could read him. And yes, Yennefer is able to read him almost instantly. Why she was able to do it with him so quickly is probably because she didn't have the pressure of having the other students around her, and she was with a person she is comfortable with and trusts. So it wasn't as tense. The next magical trial for Yennefer is to control the ultimate expression of chaos and catch lightning in a bottle at Torlera. Torlera is the most potent place of chaos on the continent and is off limits to everyone except for the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. The Brotherhood of Sorcerers is the oldest organization of mages in the Northern Kingdoms. They're in later episodes, so we will go over it then. The first 3 fail at this, including Yennefer, who gets a lightning bolt to the chest. Sabrina goes next and does it with ease. Yennefer is so fed up with Desaya putting her down, she sends the energy from the lightning bolt that struck her towards Desaya. Desaya easily grabs it and throws it through the opening in the cave. This causes the two to have a conversation at the end of the trial. Desaya explains that there are mages like Sabrina who ignore their emotions, and then there are mages like us who are consumed by them. Desaya is saying that you cannot let your emotions get in the way. You need to control the chaos and not become it. Because once you let your emotions play a factor, you could get somebody killed. We find ourselves back with Geralt and Jaskier. They are both tied up in a cave. It turns out the elves had captured them and brought them to their golden palace. But it turns out Jaskier was wrong. The elves don't live in golden palaces. They live in simple caves. We then meet Villavandrel, the king of the elves, and Torque is by his side. Geralt figures out that Torque was actually stealing for the elves because he felt bad for them. They were starving in the mountains. Once again, Jaskier was wrong in saying that the elves chose to leave Dol Bothana. They were forced out by the humans. When the elves fought back, they were slaughtered. The humans call this the Great Cleansing. Villavandrel cannot let the humans know they are having Torque steal for them because it would give them a reason to attack, so he has to kill Geralt and Jaskier. Geralt and him talk for a bit. Villavandrel says if he leaves these mountains with his people and work with the humans who stole their land, that would be bowing down to human sovereignty. Geralt suggests to go elsewhere and rebuild somewhere else. Villavandrel does not listen and is about to kill Geralt until Torque comes to his rescue and says Geralt was going to spare him. He is one of us. This is an accurate statement from Torque. Geralt might have been born human, but he is still not treated like one. He is treated like a monster, like one of them. We return to Aretuza, and Yennefer tells Istrid that Desaya knows about the two, and they are sending Yennefer home because of it. Istrid insists that the two would see each other again. Yennefer says, how? With one of those extra special portal thingies? Istredd hesitates at first to show Yennefer how to do it. The magic is not taught at the schools. It is far more potent, it's older. He's talking about elvish magic. We then get a brief history lesson on how elves were the ones who showed humans how to do magic, and they were also the ones who built Aretuza. After the humans learned magic, they slaughtered the elves to pretend the power has always belonged to them. Istredd pulls out a Finiwed to cast the portal. A Finiwed is a flower that only grows where elder blood has been spilled or in Dol Balantha. Elder blood gets introduced later in the series and we will go over it then. Yennefer summons the portal saying the incantation Von Aquith. She is able to summon the portal instantly, which amazes Istredd. We then find out Yennefer's real father is half-elf and was killed during the Great Cleansing, making her a quarter elf. She says that is why she has a twisted spine, because she is cursed with his blood. That is why nobody can love her. I don't think this is the actual reason though. There are plenty of half-bloods in the world that are just fine. So that could have been just what her father told her. We finally see Istredd and Yen kiss, Istredd proving to Yennefer that he does love her, deformities and all. We then find out that this was just a test by Tissaia. She just wanted to see if Yennefer could control her emotions and get it from the boy. Tissaia then calls Yennefer by her real name, not Piglet. This shows that Tissaia is starting to respect Yennefer, and the two are starting to form a bond with one another. We then find out that Istredd also had other intentions, informing on Yennefer to a young Stregobor that she is part elf. The refugee camp that Ciri is at is raided by Nilfgaard. The family that took Ciri in is killed. Luckily for Ciri, the rat boy comes back for her and helps her escape. We then find out the boy is actually an elf and his name is Dara. We return to Aretuza with Yennefer waiting to see if she gets to ascend or not. Yennefer didn't hear a knock on her door, so she believes that she was not chosen to become a mage. She grabs the Finiwed and decides to spy on Tissaia, and she sees that the students who Tissaia grabs are changed into eels. Tissaia knows Yennefer is watching and tells her to come forth. She instructs Yennefer to push the eels into the pool. What Tissaia did was take away their control, but they still have power. They did not pass their final test and they will not ascend, but they still have power, so they turn them into eels to power Aretuza, and I believe other mages can draw from that energy. That is why Tissaia says in the beginning and at the end of the episode, sometimes the best thing a flower can do for us is die. In a way, this is saying it is for the greater good that some fail. Yennefer tosses the eels into the pool, and Aretuza lights up. We then return to Geralt and Jaskier. They were let go by the Elf King. And Jaskier comes up with probably one of my favorite songs from the series so far. He embellishes the story saying that the Witcher beat up all these elves and did heroic things. Geralt asks where his newfound respect went to. Jaskier says respect doesn't make history. Pretty much saying that the true story is not going to change the way people perceive you. A song that endures is a song that is catchy and has a fantastical story. So what did you guys think of episode 2? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more Witcher content, please subscribe. And also check out the Twitter. You know, might as well. Sure, why not? Link is in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.